Okay, so let's get right into it. A message gets sent from Tehran all the way to Washington, D.C. But here's the thing. This isn't a friendly chat. It's not a negotiation. It is a straight-up ultimatum, and it's put the entire world on edge. We're going to break down this high-stakes geopolitical standoff piece by piece.
At the very heart of the message is this one single line. As you do, so shall you reap. I mean, wow. It doesn't get much more blunt than that, right? This isn't subtle diplomatic language, it's a direct threat, setting the stage for a super dangerous game where every single move could trigger some truly explosive consequences.
So, you have to wonder, how exactly does a message this intense, this explosive even get delivered? It turns out that how it was sent is almost as important as the what was said.
Yeah, this wasn't some anonymous leak or a vague whisper. This warning came directly from a senior Iranian official. This was a calculated move, sent right from the top, and it was absolutely meant to be taken seriously in Washington. No room for misinterpretation here.
But here's where it gets interesting. The message wasn't just a threat. The official also mentioned being, quote, flexible. So you've got this really strange mix, right? On one hand, it's like an olive branch, but on the other, it's a list of non-negotiable red lines. It basically puts the U.S. in a really tough spot. You can cooperate or you can face the fallout.
So what happens if those red lines actually get crossed? Well, the first consequence they threatened is something that would be felt by millions, almost instantly. This is a classic eye for an eye scenario. The message was clear. If the U.S. targets Iran's power plants, Iran will retaliate in kind. Their response would be to try and plunge the entire region into darkness. We're talking about a massive, devastating blackout that would cripple infrastructure and affect millions of people far beyond just Iran's borders.
Okay, so the next threat is where this whole thing escalates. It goes from a regional conflict to something with massive global implications. We're talking about targeting a vital artery of the world economy.
Now, to really get the next part, you have to understand what a maritime choke point is. Just think of it like the one major highway that goes into a big city. If you block it, everything grinds to a halt. These narrow sea lanes are absolutely critical for global shipping, for trade, for energy security, the whole shebang.
And the choke point they're threatening is the al-Mandeb Strait. But here's the crafty part. Iran isn't saying they'll shut it down. They're saying their allies in the region will. It's a classic strategy, right? Using proxies to apply pressure so you can maintain some deniability and not get your own hands dirty.
So why should you or I care about some narrow strait halfway across the world? Well, because a closure there would send massive shockwaves through the entire global economy. The flow of oil, gas, and all sorts of goods would just be choked off. You'd see prices for almost everything skyrocket. This isn't just a regional spat. It's a potential global crisis in the making.
Okay, so with a message this volatile, how on earth did it get from Tehran to Washington without blowing up along the way? Well, this is where the story takes a really fascinating diplomatic turn.
The message didn't travel in a straight line. Instead, the nation of Qatar played the role of the messenger, the go-between. So Iran drafts its ultimatum, hands it off to Qatar, and then Qatar passes it along to the United States. In a situation this tense, Qatar is basically the neutral party trying to walk through a diplomatic minefield.
You know, the fact that they even needed a back channel like this in the first place, it speaks volumes. It just shows you how broken direct communication is between the US and Iran. This isn't a simple delivery service. It's a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess being played through intermediaries where every single move is just loaded with meaning.
So let's pull back for a second and just look at the big picture here. What does this all mean for the world right now at this very moment?
What we're left with is this state of incredible high-wire tension. It's a really precarious balancing act. On one side, you have Iran's very stark warning. On the other, the potential for absolutely catastrophic retaliation. And the only thing holding it all together is this fragile, indirect diplomatic channel. The entire world is basically holding its breath, just waiting to see who blinks first.
And that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? The threats are out there, the red lines have been drawn. In this incredibly tense chess match between Iran and the United States, the question isn't just what happens next, it's is there any way to de-escalate before someone makes a move they can never take back?